and welcome to another episode of Coconut Chats. Tonight we are talking with a very special individual from all the way from India. And before we move on to her and what she does and her introduction, let me quickly pass it on the table and get you guys to say hello to my friend and co-host Harita. Harita, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Not too bad, thank you. And now, our guest of the show tonight is Neeva Faker, who's joining us from India. Neeva, in a sense, is a language and performing arts professional. She studied French and was also selected to represent India in a cultural exchange program held in France. Many color to her hats. She has extra talents, but on top of it, she has been teaching from the last 3 years and has students from all over the world, including USA, Turkey, Belgium, Dubai, and various states of India. She is a language and performing arts professional, and tonight we're going to be talking about her school and how does she manage everything, from where did she get that idea and her inspiration. Neeva, thank you for joining us and welcome to Coconut Chats. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Chris. I'm doing well.
Awesome, awesome. How is the situation with the floods there? How's everyone in your family? Are you guys okay?
Yes, we're all good. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, Neeva, so to start off the conversation with, tell us about your inspiration for starting your institute and your school. From where did you draw the idea?
So, however funny it sounds, it was from a breakup. That's where the whole idea came to me from, where I was not in a very good headspace and felt very confused and didn't know what to do with my life, almost like an existential crisis, you might say. And that's when you get super creative, right? When you don't know what's happening, you question everything. That's when creativity strikes and you suddenly have all the answers. So that's where I got my idea from, and I wrote it down in my journal and did practically nothing for a year.
Hmm.
And after that, after a year, one of my friends told me that, hey, you're good at these things. Why don't you do something around it and build something around it? So I thought of it and I was like, okay, I can try it out without realizing that that's actually something I wanted to create a year back. So you could say that I manifested my way through this because I'm a believer of manifestation. But yeah, I would say the breakup was the inspiration behind my classes and my school right now.
Wow. I mean, I have to say that it's in a long time somebody has constructively used their breakup to start something which is for the greater good. That's very inspirational, Eva. I hope our listeners take something away from that.
Yeah.
Rita, moving on, what do you have for us?
So what were the initial obstacles that came your way when you first started this, and how did you handle the obstacles and grow from them?
Okay, so I started this sometime in September of 2019, and I was still in college at that time. So I had to juggle university, studying. At the same time, I was in my final year, so I had to juggle my projects and assignments. At the same time, I was starting my business on my own. And my family was pretty supportive, so I'm not complaining about that. But the very month I started, my grandfather got cancer and he started living with us. And I'm sure all of you know what it's like when someone in your family is ill. It
Mm.
gets really difficult. And we were the ones handling everything from hospital expenses to his treatments to doctors coming home to chemo. So all of that was happening. And since I'm also the eldest in the family, sometimes I had to go for those hospital runs and spend time with him or feed him and things like that. So I sometimes even took classes from the hospital room because I didn't want to give up on my dream entirely. And sometimes I would just have to cancel altogether because there was an emergency. But he left us in December of the same year before COVID and everything began. So in a way, I think he was saved from everything that was to pass after. And that was, I think, the 4 month was a trial period for me to see whether I would give up on it or not. But then I kept going, and somehow during COVID, it everything started aligning because I shifted everything online, and that's how a wider audience opened up. and I was able to connect with everyone from across the globe. And I didn't just restrict to Mumbai, where I'm connecting from, but um, expanded to every other part of the globe, which was so exciting, but also challenging at the same time to connect to people from different parts of the world. So I think that would essentially be the obstacles that I faced. Also, a lot of my friends were against me doing all of this. So I lost a couple of good friends on the way, I would say. A lot of friendships, yeah.
Why why were your friends against you doing this? And like, I understand sometimes people don't agree with things that other people do, but why do you think you lost your friendships because of it?
Because they didn't entirely support it, and also that because I was investing some energy in my business and some energy at college, I wasn't entirely there in college all the time, which got them a little upset because I wasn't showing up for every group meeting or every project meeting, and that's how I lost a couple of people on the way.
Hmm, makes sense.
Makes some sense to me, but yeah, I hope they are happy with your success right now, wherever they are. Moving on to the broader aspect of the society, you said your family was supportive, yeah. But when we look at the broader South Asian society at large, have you ever been stereotyped for the society or by the society for trying to do something which is unconventional and at such a young age? Have you ever come across people, kind of sniding at you or jeering at you for doing what you wanted?
Yes, I have. So earlier on, I couldn't tell people how old I was because, according to our society, someone who's younger is inexperienced, doesn't know what to do, still figuring out their way. Only if you're maybe in your 40s or late 30s, you figured out life and know how to do life. But when I was reading this, a lot of people sniggered at me. My own clients would come and say things to me that were not very good to hear. So
Hmm.
that has happened to me quite a few times. Yes.
How did you face them, Neva? Like when you had a difficult client, say, who just could not fathom the fact that you are young, you're a woman entrepreneur. That was the reason of, not accepting you as the person you are. How did you react to that? How did you get over that?
I think at first I just needed to accept myself to be able to accept that it's okay for what people are going to say about me is not in my control. And in Hindi,
Hmm.
we have this song that's very popular from Bollywood. It's called uh, लोगों का काम है कहना कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, which
Yeah.
means something people will say and it's people's jobs to keep saying. So people are going to say good stuff, people are going to say bad stuff, but that's never in our control. What is in our control is what we say to ourselves. And when I mastered that self-awareness, literally, if you just come and say some shit to me right now, it's not going to affect me because I'm so sure of what I'm doing right now. It doesn't matter what you say.
Hmm.
I like the confidence. Wish we had that confidence at your age.
Yeah. How old were you when you started this business?
So I got the idea at 18 and I started at 19.
Hmm. Okay. It's surprising that, instead of people thinking, oh, wow, look, she's starting something so young, that people stereotype you and turn that into a negative, you know? Um, Sometimes it takes people until the age of 40 or 50 before they start an amazing idea. But if someone gets that idea when they're young, people should actually be praising it instead of insulting and stereotyping you.
From
Um,
here, I have another question for you, where you just mentioned, right, how most of your clientele or the society expects us to kind of start having an idea at 30 or 40. So is it how the South Asian society thinks of about an entrepreneur that you can't be a successful entrepreneur if you're below 30? What is your opinion about that?
So I think we have these stereotypes that we set around women in business or entrepreneurship in general, that the first year of entrepreneurship is going to be difficult. You're not going to make any money. Or we've set up things like, oh, women can't do it on their own. They have to just get married, have kids, start a family. They can't do things of their own. They're supposed to be dependent on a man. And these are the things I've grown up with, I've seen in my family, I've been raised with as well. So for me, it was just just convincing myself that this is not true and it's just a belief, over looking at the society and seeing that, oh, wait, that's how we're conditioned to believe it. But that doesn't have to be your choice because you're the one who makes the choice to believe it or not at the end of the day. So I see that the society is conditioned a certain way, but you don't have to buy into that conditioning. You choose where you want to um, come from. You have the power within you. It is your choice. It's just that we're conditioned to believe that we don't have a choice.
Mm, yeah,
Exactly.
really well said. Since your institute is quite new and you've had the added challenges of COVID, which happened literally less than a year after you even started your institute, where do you see the institute going in the next 5 to 6 years? Hopefully, if COVID and everything happening in India right now dies down, where do you see it going in the future?
So I always wanted to establish a physical space for my institute. So that would be one of the things I want to knock off and create in Mumbai. That's where I am at the moment. And I obviously want to keep the online wing going and expand. I'm going to be going abroad to do my master's in business perhaps next year. So wherever it is that I decide to go, either Canada or US, I will start growing it there as well. So have another wing there.
Mm.
And what is the model of your online school, Neeva? Like, do you have assistant people who help you in assisting your students? What is the model that you follow?
So it's essentially we have teachers who teach various languages and performing arts, and they work on a contract with us.
Right, right. And I'm intrigued because, Harita is in performing arts. I'm into performing arts. So for example, say if tomorrow we take an interest in, being a mentors for your school, how do we enroll ourselves as just for mentorship?
Right, so we have an application process where you would need to send in your experience, your details, the time, work hours that you can commit, because we're very flexible that way when it comes to our trainers as well as our students. So we like to offer that flexibility. And
Mm,
trainers anyway come from any part of the world, and so do our students. So the time zone would be matched based on where you're from. And post that, we would have a demo session where you would have the opportunity to show your skills, to show what you bring to the table, and then we would shortlist and say, okay, hey, here's the opportunity. You can work with us.
Mm. So, how many
right,
people do you have working under you in this institution at the moment?
About 15.
right. And how many students do you have right now?
So all in all, we've crossed about 1,000 students all around the world, but they keep fluctuating really. So at the moment, we're about around 50 to 100, somewhere there.
No, not too bad. And have you ever encountered language barrier? For example, if you have a Romanian student who doesn't understand English and you are mostly communicating via English, have you ever come across such an issue?
Yes, we have. So when our student was not able to communicate, so this was actually when one of my students, she was Turkish and she
Mm,
could only speak Turkish and she wanted to speak English. But this was fortunately an in-person class, so it wasn't online, so it wasn't that challenging. She would just probably use Google Translate and show me what she's trying to say, or use gestures and expressions to
yeah.
explain to me what she wanted to convey, and I would
Mm,
somehow get it because I'm also into acting and dramatics, so I understood what she was trying to say.
that's awesome.
Mm.
Another question, Eva, before I move on to Harita is, by performing arts, at present, which of the performing arts currently are you guys teaching?
Okay, so we teach speech and drama, communication skills, public speaking, singing, Western and Hindustani, dancing, Zumba, table etiquettes. Have I missed something? Yes, no, that's about it.
Wow,
That's a
that's
lot.
a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. So with COVID and all of that happening in the last year, has that, do you think that's impacted your business positively or negatively by having to bring everything online and, being able to reach more people globally, but not being able to physically go to classes? How has COVID impacted your business, given that your business was already quite new when COVID first hit?
Right. So I've only been able to see my business grow online and not that much offline, thanks to COVID, of course. But even initially when I started, I was 50% online and 50% offline. So that was the business model initially. But I like to look at everything as an opportunity instead of looking at something that's negatively impacted me in some way. So I definitely look at COVID as an opportunity. And if this wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been able to explore the global market like I have today, or connect with people from around the world like I have today, right now, in fact. So I'm really grateful for what's happened, for sure.
Mm, yeah. And is there anything you think you would have done differently when you started up your business? Like now that you've had it going for almost 2 years, and when you think of, how you started up and the progress you've made, is there anything you think you could have done differently or better?
I don't like to have regrets, but sometimes I do think about it. Like if COVID wouldn't have happened, I'd probably have a physical school and not focus that much on online as compared to the way I'm functioning right now. Because that was my dream. That's how I visualized it, that I wanted to have a physical space and have students and people coming in. But
Mm,
everything just shifted and changed form because of the situation. But that's something that I still want to do, and it's still going to happen. So yeah.
yeah.
Your positivity and motivation, Neeva. Like it's very inspiring to hear that. The thing what I want to know is how do the students get to know about the school? Like where do you guys promote yourselves? Which platforms do you use to advertise about the school?
So we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And we
Mhm.
were also on TikTok, but TikTok is banned in India, so can't do anything about that. And WhatsApp, especially a lot of WhatsApp groups, through parents and word of mouth.
Nice.
And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome.
Do
Rita?
you want to share the all the social media handles, so if our listeners are listening, they can look up your Facebook page and Instagram page and things like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So it's called Neevas Classes for Languages and Performing Arts everywhere. So it's that on YouTube, it's on Facebook, um, it's on LinkedIn, on Instagram, it's the shorter handle, it's the initials only, so that becomes NCLPA. And yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Mindful of the time, Niva, we need to wrap eventually. So before we wrap, you have moved on quite successfully. You have a lot of plan for your future, for your school. What would be the message that you would like to belt out to all the young ladies out there who might be listening to you and who might, have plans similar to yours? What would be your one-liner message or a few words of wisdom or advice to them?
I would really say it's important to get to know yourself before you do anything in life, not only business, but even if it's getting into a new relationship or studying or going abroad or starting anything new. You have to get to know yourself first, and then only should you venture out into whatever you want. But that's a lifelong process. And whatever it is that you want to do, you're the only person who can motivate yourself to do it. No one else is going to be behind your back to get you to do it. So instead of it just being a dream, make it a reality so that you're proud of yourself.
Wonderful. Right, any final thoughts?
Yeah, very, very nicely said. You sound like such a motivational, inspiring young woman. Like, I wish I had this amount of motivation when I was in my early 20s.
Same
Thank you.
thoughts. On that note, we would really, really like to thank you and wish you the best of luck in your future moving forward. Thank you for giving us the time and thank you for letting all our listeners know about your school. And for all our listeners, if you've got any thoughts, feedbacks, whatever comments you would like to let us know, please write to us at coconutchats@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Facebook and YouTube by the same name, which is Coconut Chats. Subscribe to our channel because we have interesting conversations upcoming of all of you every week. Till then, stay safe, stay well, and keep loving each other. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.